I'm going to call to order the October 13th meeting of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. And can we take a roll call?
Aaron Angel.
Here.
Scott Conley.
Here.
Thomas Davis is not here. Sam Liddy.
Here.
Hannah Mulroy.
Here.
Nicholas Novella is not here. Brandy Bradshaw Reyes.
Here.
And Council Liaison Sean McCoy.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. Do we have any comments or changes to the agenda as presented?
That's good.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Seconded.
All right, on to the approval of previous month's minutes for August 11th, 2025 crab board meeting. Any comments or corrections to the minutes? No? Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Scott, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second them.
That's fine. All right. Next on the agenda is public invited to be heard. With at least one, I believe. Any others?
Ethan Law Green, 930 Button Rock. I appreciate the due diligence that you all did on Distal Open Space. And last week, City Council unanimously agreed with you to permanently cease negotiations, turning Distal Open Space into a composting facility. So that's great news. And one of the positive benefits of that is that enables us to move forward to think about what's actually best for the land and for the wildlife there. And hopefully you all have been to Distal Open Space, but if not, you may have missed the large nest that ospreys have built on a utility pole over there. And I was over there yesterday, so the nest is still there, but the ospreys seem to have migrated away for the winter. And of course, these are federally protected raptors. And so what needs to happen is that the city needs to consult with CPW and their district wildlife manager, his name is Cassie Penn, and to coordinate what should be done. And probably the best idea would be to get some bucket trucks out there and manually remove the nest in a way that doesn't disturb it and keeps it intact, and hold it in storage for the winter, and then build a new pole that's dedicated to the ospreys. And when they come back in March, which they usually do come back to where they built the nest. Sometimes they don't, but more often than not they do. Put the nest back out on the new dedicated utility pole, and so they'll come back and they'll find it and hopefully occupy the same nest. That'd be my recommendation. Maybe Cassie Pan has a different idea. I don't know. I did talk to her a couple months ago, but not specifically about the strategy. And so I think that someone needs to show some leadership at the city level to coordinate with Cassie and figure out what needs to be done about this.
Cool. Great.
Okay. Thank you, Ethan.
Ethan, can I get you a
No other invited to be heard, correct?
No, right?
No. All right, moving on, old business. We have Longmont Indicators Park Recreation and Trails Master Plan. Excited to hear this.
So I think everyone here saw hopefully the link in the packet that you could try, maybe a little exploration before the meeting today. But this plan within Longmont Indicators is, let's see how many plans there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's within the 7 plans that have been uploaded to the site. This has been about 18 months in progress to capture, really with the intent of capturing what we've completed within the plan over the past years and what we're looking at ahead in order to further complete the plan and what those timeframes might be. So to basically, I'll just pop in and walk through it a little bit. The master plan, well, the first question was how are we going to organize this into something that's like navigable and understandable? And so we decided to use the 5 categories that are currently in the master plan, and then within those subcategories, just diving into all of the parts and pieces, whether it be renewal, whether it be completing the system, identities and such within our system as defined in the master plan. So just really digging into all of these different categories. The renewal and reinvestment. So this is obviously a category that captures every park and nature area, community park, and recreation areas in our system. So this is a pretty robust piece. So what we did was we went in and first incorporated pages for each of these locations, as well as then identified what it was ranked whenever it was, as it was in the master plan, and let me actually go back one. So there's renewal levels within the master plan, so which ones are the higher priority, which ones are on the lower priority, and then what has been done. So went back and looked through like some of the past park. I'm going to go to one that's recently been done. Athletic Field isn't one that's had anything recently. Falter's a good example. A few years back, there was quite a bit of work that occurred there with the shelter, the playground, and whatnot. So just going through on each of these parks, looking back, these are the things that have been done, these are the dates, what's currently underway at Falter, and then what still needs to be done. And it's important to know that on the what still needs to be done, these are currently based on asset life cycle. So your age of your asset, whatever it may be, as it's recorded in our Infor, which is our asset management system. This isn't necessarily meaning these things are funded, but we're going to leverage this to start guiding those renewals and what those priorities look like. This is one metric out of 3 metrics that we'll use. I'm excited to share that now we have one of our most exciting pieces available at our fingertips to start using, but I'll get to that. So we have asset life cycle. That'll be our first key of this really needs to be, this is up for replacement, no longer serviceable. Is it in good shape? Can it go another couple of years? Do we have other priorities? The second is, as we've talked about many times, total park health, which is condition assessment. So we start with those specific assets that we're questioning when we're prioritizing. And then we'll say, okay, we've got Park A, Park B. Assets, both of those are due to be replaced at the same time. Do their condition assessment. Maybe this one is of an okay space, an okay playground. This one is truly a safety need. That would automatically trigger this one for a renewal before this one. But let's say these are the same. So we go to metric number 3, which is visitation data. So we have training coming up in a couple of weeks, pretty excited. And then as soon as that training occurs, we have this access. So we could then look at these 2 parks that are ranking at exactly the same level on 2 metrics. Is there one that's of a different visitation rate than others? What's going to have the biggest impact with the money that we have, so we can kind of leverage those pieces? And so you put all those metrics together, and it helps us use data to determine what we're doing. And I know since I've been here in 2.5 years, this has been something we've discussed, and this is the year that it's actually going to be real. So it's pretty exciting. But building this kind of helped guide us, because now we can be talking internally and like, oh, what were we doing at Quail Campus in 10 years? And so anyone can pop on, anyone in the community, we can, you can, anybody can. It's all right here. And this information gets updated every 6 months. So we have, I think in November or early December, it opens up for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and then we have a team that'll go in and make updates to everything that needs to be updated. So twice a year, constantly being updated. And this is truly kind of like the beginning of our roadmap. So so here you'll see like this one, Falter was a level 4 renewal whenever it was originally categorized. I should also mention that any of these park renewal rankings here are only reflective of what was recorded in the master plan in 2014. I had to, whenever we were structuring this site, we had to adhere to what was in the master plan. We couldn't add or do anything because that was the document we were basing it off of. So this is kind of a point in time, but it's still a nice metric just to have, to see where was it in 11 years ago, and has that been replaced, or is that still in need or whatnot. So it's also, this site will continue evolving, and we're welcome, hopefully we'll have some discussion on, if you have navigated it, what you've seen that you might suggest might be helpful information. We are aware that there are many pieces and parts that can still be added to this, but getting it to this base level was really our goal over the past 18 months, so it's at least out there, and now we can start building on it and adding additional information that would be helpful. So here you'll see in the park, this is the completing the system section. You'll see the same, there were the gap access areas that were identified in the master plan. So those are reflected here. So it really is a digital version of that document. And also, we were not intending to recreate any information. So if you want to read more information, for instance, on Clover Meadows, it directs you straight to our website where we have that park information. And then it also links you to actions. So within this plan, Parks, Recreation, and Trails Master Plan, we also want to not create duplicative work. And so we can link to other plans that are already uploaded. So for instance, our plan obviously works towards some pieces of Envision Longmont. So here you can come down and say, okay, Clover Meadows, it was a part of Envision's Longmont, filling in park and trail service area gaps. So you click on it, it takes you right into the Envision Longmont plan where that information is located. And then you can go on and see, more depth into that specific metric of Envision Longmont, but how that one piece serves both plans. So a lot of cross connections. And then you can also use this to really develop your own, kind of filter it however you want to see it, whatever information you want to see. So you could say, I want to see what's going on with community parks in gap area S4. I don't know what's going to come up, so we'll just see. Nothing. I picked an area that doesn't have a new community park. I'll go to neighborhood parks. Those are probably more prevalent right now. And search. So West Grange Neighborhood Park would fill a need in gap area S1 should it be constructed. So that's directly west of existing Dry Creek Community Park. And so this gives you a little bit of information on that park. And then the action, by building out West Grange Neighborhood Park in gap area S1, it increases the percent of residential units near green space in that area. So it seems like a no-brainer. But just having this map and really seeing how each of these actions have results that contribute to the goals of the city as a whole is really great to see all of those connections. And then aside from the renewals and the connections, we also have connecting and integrating active living. This is one that isn't as built out. We still captured some of the categories within this. This is an area we'd like to focus on a little more during the updates in a month or so. And this also, this has a recreation component, and so that's a part of what the work that we need to do as a larger team is really determine what is this additional content that goes in here, and who's going to be in charge of overseeing the uploading of that content. Completing the St. Vrain, we've got Phase 13. Danielle's team is in process of awarding that contract. They're working on negotiations with CDOT right now on that award, and then that will start construction. So that's that's actually really exciting. We'll have the trail all the way to the state park. But I don't know, if you haven't gone in, I would just go in and kind of look around and see, the content that's been uploaded, see if you have any questions. And I'd like to just hear what you guys think.
I'll put my 2 cents in. Is so that what I first read was like on the park side is like this is what we're doing, and it all made sense. But when you tie it to like the goals on Envision Longmont, there aren't any real specified goals. Like it's 95% the goal, like say within that half-mile radius sort of thing. Because when Longmont started, we were at 100%, right? So
Because
there
as
is-
Longmont grows, you lose
well,
ground.
Well, you should be buying up ground as you do it. But is that, but we don't, like in the Envision Longmont piece, there isn't a set goal for any of them of like saying this is where we're headed towards. Like, you know, when you get to transportation of like how many deaths are acceptable or not acceptable, it should be 0 if we're doing Vision 0. Like, we don't then tie it to goals. We just are specifying numbers. And so I think that's beyond the parks part of the plan. But it just, that's where I first felt like there's this big gap of like, the definition of how we're measuring doesn't seem to be clear, and then you know what the goals are for each one of those. So like,
So I think for the purpose, not speaking to Envision Longmont, but this particular plan here,
yeah,
since it was the intent of the master plan to have, you know, a certain number within people within a half a mile of the park, and we can make that a metric on this page, like we have control of that. That's inherent, and I think it's really just about identifying that is the metric that we're working towards. So whenever we say we filled the gap, that means that within this zone on this map, they all have that access. And I think that'd probably be the simplest way to do it. Because
and then if
you always have development, but by showing a bubble on a map, that's like anyone that's within the bubble would have that access. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah. No, I just did, like it's not specified that 100%, which would be what I would read in between the lines, would be what we'd be going for. But who wrote half a mile between one of those 3 things, right? Like, and how does that compare to other cities our size?
Right.
I don't know any of the context.
Okay, so adding more context for the reader would make more sense.
Yeah, I mean, even like the 4 stars for Affolter, that was one of my other questions. Does that mean it's harder or easier? I don't know what 4-star, the 4 dots mean. Because the information tells me a lot of jargony words, but doesn't say, it means that there was more investment in that park. And that's really, I think, what you want to say to the public is, this was a bigger project. It took a lot more effort. That's why it has 4 points.
So we do have in the glossary section, for instance here, level 4, these are sites with nearly all indicators. There's a spelling error, we'll get that fixed. Showing needs that should be addressed as soon as possible to avoid incorrect failures of equipment and high priority safety and usability. So it is the most critical. But if you go on the indicator site, the last tab is glossary. And so we tried to fill in some of those gaps there just based on language in the master plan. But I can look at better ways to define, like, what does filling a gap mean? Like, what is that distance? What are people gaining?
Okay, yeah, because I didn't, I could have gone to glossary, I guess, but I was looking at that little information thing.
Right, the little dot.
And I think it says something different than what it says in the glossary.
I agree that the little dot, if you had the definition pop up when you hover it, that might really be nice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're charged by the pixel, so
Yeah.
you can put
Well,
those words. You know what I mean? Like,
You could take
just
notes.
put those words actually on there so that people can see
Yeah,
what
I
4
agree.
stars mean. I thought 4 stars meant like it was like super awesome park to visit, right?
It is.
You know what I mean? Like, so like that's, I don't know. And then I want to know who are we envisioning the consumer of this to be? Who is our main consumer?
So
Audience.
it really wants to be the community. When they live near a park, they want to know what's going on. And the rec centers, things like that. What has been happening, what is happening, and what's coming. We're trying to push this out. So our sustainability coordinator that's been leading the charge on this is presenting to the Neighborhood Group Leaders Association on Thursday, so they can start to help spread the word for people. Pushing it out in other community groups that aren't members of that, getting word out on social media and through the information blasts that come out from our communications team.
I kind of like how you just said it more than how I would search how this would come up is what's going on with my park. Click.
Yeah, or like a QR code on like a park signage that says, see what's coming soon to this park.
Yeah.
Where it takes them directly to the page.
Or not soon. That's the other thing.
Right, yeah.
Right, or
2035.
You're like, what's happening? It's like,
see
oh,
the future of this.
2048.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So does this link back to like each of the parks pages?
On the website, so right now it hasn't hit it yet because we're still in the pushing it out
Okay.
and being mindful of where it's located. Ideally, it will be, but not exactly sure where. Because you get too many links on too many pages and it becomes too much. So keeping it as simple as possible. Would you guys see it as like if you were going to your park page, like on the park page? So for instance, if I was to go to that, actually we've got Clover Meadows open. So our city facility directory, you have your shelter reservations and your plans and maps. In this case, there's not a lot of other links. You could probably put it down here.
Yeah, if there was or underneath your check-off list, if there was like a status button, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with my park?
What's going on with
So
that
I think
part?
one of the things that, sorry, I'm going to jump in. I just get really excited about this. I think Stephanie's group has done a lot because I think for us as we were looking at this, it really was a transparency piece on a couple of things. For me, it was, the public out there, what's happening with their parks and what's happening in the community, but also for councils. We've asked you to do a bunch of work. Where is that at? Staff working together. It's like we need to update our master plan. Well, why do we need to update it when we haven't completed what's already there?
So showing what we've done. Yeah.
So it shows what we've done. It shows what's coming up, and hopefully it gives the public. But again, I think we're moving away from search engines to answer engines. People want to know. They don't want to go to a web page. They want what's going on in my park, and they want to answer. They don't want a page of clicks.
They want to get the city location, then they want to go to the park. They don't want to go and try to have to search it out.
Exactly. And I think more and more with AI and stuff that you're getting an answer engine rather than a search engine.
That's great.
But I think the pieces Stephanie talked about, I'm going to geek out a little bit here. I think all these pieces, internally we've had questions about why are we doing this park next, what's coming up next. And I think these tools of kind of weighting this because, again, for our community, I think a lot of times they're like, well, why is the west side getting stuff again and the east side isn't? Why is the pickleball community getting stuff and the kids with basketball hoops are getting nothing? So again, that transparency of how we're trying to weight these things and trying to make equitable sort of decisions based on our master plans, based on our dollars and stuff out there too, but also setting expectations. Some of this stuff is not going to happen for decades, but we're constantly doing stuff. So for me, trying to understand how people consume this is really important. I think we're getting really good at getting data. These guys are doing great. And again, the place your ID stuff we talked about, I think coming from the county where we had trailheads, you put a trail counter in, it's pretty easy to get 95% of people going through there. But with our very porous borders and stuff, it's hard to figure out how many people are using our parks. That life cycle really changes. And that's where recreation is like, well, why would you do this park when we know it doesn't get as much use as this park, and this park drives more revenue because we have soccer matches and cricket matches, but without that data, it's really hard to make those decisions. So I appreciate the feedback, and I know Stephanie's trying to catch it, and we will look at the tape here too. I know she's like doing this. I think it's being recorded right now. We'll have.
Yeah, is there any way in the metric that you can put too? So like sometimes there's a park that might not serve as many people, but those people are more in need of those services because those people in that neighborhood don't have yards or things like that. Is there a way to put that in the metric as well?
Well, and that's, I think, also coming into the green space gaps story map. And it's really putting all those pieces together and looking at it from an equity perspective. But I think that's a good thing to list, just to keep it in there, because that's an important piece of that decision making.
Right,
yeah.
right. Like, in fancy neighborhood where everybody has big yards,
There's something of conversation we've had a lot here recently, the fact that as we're looking at more affordable, attainable housing, that doesn't usually come with a backyard. So we're really building people's backyards in those places they need to be. So we're really trying to make sure that's kind of put into this equation. But it's going to take constant tweaking and looking at that too. So
I kind of wonder too, with collecting data, if you do get folks to your website, do you want to have a space where maybe they could provide feedback about?
I'm going to be quiet for a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
I would.
Would you want to have a space where people could go to Clover Meadows and be like, on the website and click something that says, hey, we really would love this, or we've noticed, like we love this park and whatever
We do get a lot of feedback by visitors to the park pages.
Okay. Awesome.
Our emails are attached to specifically construction projects.
Mhm.
But then whenever it reaches this stage and it's a park project, they can back out and they'll find our contact information. And that's most frequent. I would hesitate to make it a blog style,
Yeah.
like social media, because that
Oh,
gets
yeah.
spiral really quickly.
Yeah.
But right now that has been fairly effective. We get frequent emails from
Okay,
residents.
cool. Yeah. That's
I,
great.
I would love to some point where we really get that kind of instant feedback from users, especially if there's problems, something that seems unsafe, something that, again, if we see trends, because that's what piece two, we don't set false expectations. If I put something in there, we're going to make that. But for us, it's like we start seeing a trend in either request or something that's lacking or something that's not working. It's like, oh, that should be a red flag for us, at least to check those trends rather than individual pieces. But again, not setting false expectations that just because you put something in there, you're going to end up getting it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And go ahead. You were going to say
You
something? Go
respond.
ahead.
I was gonna say, I think this is great. Obviously, early on, this is an early view. You guys we'll keep working on that. It's awesome. My main comment was, I think that I went to the homepage, and I think it assumes a fair amount of understanding of the Parks and Trails Master Plan.
Mhm.
There's no link to the plan here. The way you started off your description of this presentation, talking about how this is used to be both data-driven and comparative and guide the development of through limited resources the city has, is an amazing intro that provides really practical context to this.
Mhm.
My experience is that every single person that I meet in the community has no idea how this happens.
No idea.
Right.
And you guys are like in the plan all the time. And so we're at different ends of the spectrum. And so I think the communication of why are we doing this and how does this affect choices that are made that you might wonder why a choice is being made, we're trying to tell you through this how those choices are made would really connect to residents, I think, because they're looking for information about what's going on, and they're going to go on here, and when you see your neighborhood park and a date of 2024 for something that was supposed to be done,
Mhm.
and maybe an explanation for that, it leads to more questions. So it's like it's as much as it's great to share a lot of data, the contexting of completeness is also really important.
Right.
And I think there's like all of the UI of this site, of all the elements that are here, is the place to start. But I think the context is really important.
Mhm.
You know, like the narrative of we're doing our best with what we have. There's a lot of things that change over the course of a year, and this stuff is really great. It will help people understand why this is
Mhm.
worth spending time digging
Did you
into.
read some of these with past dates and
I did.
why? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So where would you say that land? I mean, that's a piece too for me, is where you land sometimes is how do you get that as the first piece of information? How do you get Stephanie set up no matter where you land?
Yeah, so like right here, let's start right here, right, Alta Park. What I'm seeing here is it's a park renewal that's in the planning stage where there's some things that could have been done that weren't for good reason because we assessed that it was fine and serviceable. And the plan to do these things maybe in the future as we look different years. And it's in financial planning. I guess they're planning for the budget, but we don't know when we use the budget. I'm not sure there's not enough budget. I think it's just kind of, it's implying that they're all in the process, where really a lot of them are on pause, kind of.
Well, right
They're-
now,
it's both are true, but I think it implies like, I don't know, it's just kind of a hard, it's a complex concept.
it is.
It is.
So the public is very unaware of the plan, is all
It
I'm
is.
saying.
But at the same time, a lot of these are in some stage of getting there because we
Right.
have to plan now out 10 years.
Yeah.
And so this is really that one of those tools that we're using to plan with. So it is in a financial planning stage. How are we going to fund it? We know this is going to be a need. It's up with this life cycle age. There are other parks that are more in need of playgrounds at this point, and this playground isn't deemed unsafe. We did go out there as a large group,
Mm-hmm.
and it was actually one of our first pilot park tests for a park health assessment. And I guess without getting too wordy, whenever we explain things like that, we can think about that.
I think people who care enough to spend time on the site can handle the wordiness.
Mm-hmm.
You described twice a year we go out and we assess all the assets based on a regular asset life cycle we look at in our system.
Mm-hmm.
We track that over time. That's how these numbers are brought about. Otherwise, it's like, well, how did they choose 2027?
Could you say
That's right.
another hovery thing? So it's not, if you've looked at it once, you need to see it every time. or is it something that, again,
I
I'm
mean,
just trying
for me, the hover didn't work because I was clicking on the
Right.
eye and it wasn't opening. But
Oh, the eye over here.
yeah,
Oh, it's-
What about,
And then,
I just think people who
Don't
want
worry.
context are willing to go into detail, and it could be in the homepage. Just more information about this process, separate page.
Well, and I have to say this, so the 2024, that was playground only.
Yeah,
And then we're going to reassess in, well, the assessment was conducted in 25, so it'll continue next year to be assessed. 27 is the site furnishings.
right. So just I'm just saying, what's a total park health assessment? I know what that is. They don't know what that is.
Yeah.
What does replacement
Right.
mean? I just that people don't know so little.
Maybe
I
that's
just
that
saying
blue,
that. Yeah.
blue words that people, if they're not
Right,
familiar
they
with
can-
it, they can.
they can click it or hover it, and
Yeah.
Or just an explanation on it. Like I'm pulling up like a website that I use all the time, and I use it with kids, and it's actually for professionals, but it's navigable by kids because it has an explanation of it. And then there's a couple pop-ups. One of them to say that it's federal and you're not going to get much this week, or maybe. But it just says when you pop into it, like IPAC is a project planning tool that streamlines the U.S. Forest Service environmental review process. And so saying something like really clear, like we have limited resources. This is how we choose what happens next. And like really in put whatever you write down into whatever AI service is approved by the city. I don't know, ChatGPT is what I use as a teacher.
Yep.
Make this understandable to a 7th grader. Because 8th grade is the average level of reading for adults in the United States. So make what I'm saying, and then maybe I'll be able to understand it really well. You know what I mean? But this is awesome. This is like super awesome where it is. We're just talking about things to make it
Oh yeah,
awesomer,
I love
you know what I
the
mean?
feedback.
Yeah, because you really are someone to ask who the audience is. It really is. You all are a representation of the audience, and actually think about people that you work with or know that you need a little bit different delivery method is something we definitely will work in. I think the other thing is for councils too. Again, that there should be no surprises. We should know what's coming up, and budget should be pretty clear. And Scott, to your point, I think one of the things that I'm hoping this kind of helps tell a story too is that hitting that 100%. There's a piece in there too that when we do new parks and we add stuff on, that those come with additional budget costs and staffing and stuff too. So it gets harder and harder to keep adding these numbers. So it has to be clear that those investments come with ongoing investments too.
Well, I like this because it takes somebody that might, in any other circumstance, come down to council hot and heavy, or even to this board about things that we really would be like, hey, we're working on this, but we knew we were working on this, and we knew you were working on this from a council's perspective, and so in our defense, it would be like, hey, it's great to have this so that the people that are really angry about something that beyond this, or upset or concerned or whatever the case may be, you don't have to be angry, but concerned about it, then at least we can, they've looked at this and they've gone gone through the proper stages and processes. So.
I'm just going to make a couple quick points, and then if you have anything else, or just a couple thoughts I have, and then we can maybe move on to the next item in the interest of time. I find indicators hard to use, even as somebody who reports to indicators. So I would suggest every time you put this out, like just go to this page right away. Don't send folks to the main homepage, because like you said, there's like 7 plans,
Right.
and it's really overwhelming even for me to know which plan is which. So just this is yours seems to be very nice and clean compared to some of the other departments and topics and stuff. So I like your idea of putting the indicators at the bottom of the website, because the bottom of the indicator page has the website for each park, so it'd be like a circular relationship. I love your idea about QR codes at the actual park, or getting it, you said the NGLA thing, so like getting it to HOAs or getting it to interest groups, even the faith-based organizations or YMCA or whatever's in that area, because I know we have a lot of trouble driving websites to any website, right? So it'd be really cool as somebody who, I go to city parks all the time, like my dogs, would be nice to be able to scan, oh look, they're going to replace this park in 2026. I do know signage
Yeah.
cost and has its own things.
Oh
But
yeah, well, and the QR codes change. We do have to be careful about making permanent signs. For
yes,
QR
so
codes.
something kind of, I just think
Yeah,
it's a really
yeah.
cool idea to be like, oh, I'm here, I don't have to go find the indicators page. And then just a random note, some of your floaty eyes work and some of them don't. So if you float
Yeah.
over certain ones, the dots don't have any information, but other ones do.
Oh, we have a consultant that actually does the work, so
Yes.
we'll let them know.
Yeah. Is there any other questions or comments for her on this item? This is really exciting. Like I said, I think you might have one of the nicer indicator plan pages, so way to go.
Thank you, I appreciate
job.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
really.
They've been great. It's definitely just diligent about
Yeah,
staying
you're
on
doing
top of
great.
this. And
Yeah. Any other notes? Otherwise, I'm going to move on to new business. I think she's also presenting on this. Okay, new business A, Roosevelt Park improvements.
Yes. So Roosevelt Park, a design build project that is actually going to be starting construction here in the next couple weeks. So I wanted to walk you through kind of where the design has landed so far and how we got here. So basically Roosevelt Park came up as a need due to its existing playground, which was truly unsafe, and components had to start being removed because they were no longer
It's
serviceable.
slowly shrinking.
It's slowly demolishing itself.
That's right. It
Um,
gets cheaper every year to demolish it.
yeah. And then, in addition to that, there was a need from the recreation group to add an adult fitness course in this area, some outdoor equipment, fitness equipment. And then the third piece, which is work area 3, is improvements around the arts and public places sculpture outside the senior center. So we'll kind of dig into these. But before we do, I just want to talk about a little bit of the outreach that occurred last fall. So we solicited information for the adult fitness course with a survey that was placed. Was that a QR code that we had, and also hard copies at the rec centers?
Yes.
Because Elisa had given you all of that information,
Yeah,
I
and
think,
I
and
know we
stood
got it
those up.
outside.
And then
The
She-
fitness group.
she also set up a table by the playground. One of those days was Roosevelt's, the music festival that I can't think of the name of, that was the last
Rhythm
one.
at Roosevelt.
Rhythm at Roosevelt. We had to sit outside the Rhythm at Roosevelt, so we didn't have to pay for a booth. And then youth engagement.
Wow.
It
job
seems
there.
so
So as a result of the community engagement, this was the feedback that we received from the kids. They were presented with a couple themes and just what are the kinds of things you'd like to do on playgrounds. So that kind of helped inform the play items that were selected. And then the same with the adult fitness. The responses were pretty good. For 65 and over, there was 25, with their biggest priority being group fitness and second being cardio. And the other group, a large group between the ages of 31 and 49, the second most between 50 and 64, and those being resistance and weights, cardiac aerobic, and then a low impact. So based on that information, we hired the design build team. We gave them all of this information that had been received from the community, and they started to put together some concepts. So up here you see this is the playground area. The perimeter of the playground is not changing, but they were just kind of scattering pieces around, playing with where to put the fitness course. Over here they put it over a little bit to the side, closer to the side, or the senior center. Here it's kind of nestled between the shelter and the restroom. So after review with all of the internal groups here, recreation was one of those groups, everyone decided this was the layout. That way we could maintain the horseshoe pit and not disturb those, and also kind of keep it away from that drive. There's a pretty busy drive that does the Meals on Wheels, I think, at the senior center. So just keeping all of our grouped elements over here. So we're going to kind of dig into first the work area 1, which is the existing playground area with the new playground. So it was important once we gathered our interested, impacted parties within the city to talk about what these components might be and what our concepts would be. One of the themes that kept coming up amongst the group was accessibility and having a really accessible playground in a really used park. So one of our, just more central parks, accessible to many people because of its location, and thinking about what does inclusive play look like. So it's more than physical impairments. It's all types of different serving all types of different, users of this playground, from physical, sensory, all the way down to cognitive. And so just taking all of those pieces and parts into consideration. So our design team did some great work. Initially, this was one of their first concepts. And what you see in the red is actually that poured in place, the springy material. And then everything in this concept in brown is the engineered wood fiber. So you've got some more accessible areas on the corners, more runaround play areas in the middle. But we continued that conversation. We wanted to continue making it better. We did have deep conversations about what each of these elements that they're planning to do, how it performs with regards to accessibility. Putting in the universal carousel, we just put one of those in at Thompson too. Those are usually fairly popular. And then, the Explorer Dome, that was one of the kids' big ones. They love to explore. They wanted something more like parkour. And so just going through, all the different types of swings we've got, from your baby to your elementary age kid, and then the basket swing. Everyone loves those. But we continue talking. We're like, that just doesn't feel like enough. I think it was actually recreation. You guys had this idea. Let's make it.
Not me specifically.
It was. I'm looking
Yeah.
at you, but
Yeah.
you're representing all of recreation. Let's take it another level. So we ended up adding this WeGo swing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the WeGo swing. It is a swing where you can go with your wheelchair onto the swing, and you can have someone with you sitting in the other chair, and you can swing together. So we had to really sharpen our pencils to fit this into our budget, with a very small budget as it was, because these come with a hefty price tag, but I think the value is just going to be amazing for the community. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So we also changed the surfacing based on these conversations. So now this hatched area is the poured in place springy playground, and then this is the engineered wood fiber portion. And then we're also adding, hopefully this stays in, we're working through some design challenges with engineering, but at least one accessible parking spot, so they can come in and pull up and get to the playground easily. So then work area number 2 is the adult fitness course. So we went on a field trip. You can't say you're not involved in this one.
I was
And Erie.
I was going to say it.
This guy.
This is in Erie, and they have adult fitness equipment, which is the same manufacturer as what we were looking at. So we wanted to go out and give it a try. They also had poured in place surfacing below their equipment. We wanted to see how that was holding up. And I think it was a really good experience because being here, trying it out, we actually changed the bike because of the experience that we had on their bike, and it wasn't as good just because of the way it was. And I can show you in the next slide the way it was configured. But we also noticed, and we talked to their operations group, the poured in place isn't holding up very well. It's really starting to age pretty quickly. And so we wanted to take all those pieces into consideration. So we ended up with these pieces of fitness equipment. But as I had mentioned, this is the bike they'd originally proposed. And what isn't good is to get on it, you have to lift your leg way over and then down, and this other bar's in the way. So going to one that's a little bit simpler to get on. So that's the one that we'll be going with moving forward on that piece. But we also went with just a concrete pad below, and no poured in place, so it's lower maintenance and a little bit simpler. It's also allowed us to put in, it helped with the WeGo
Budget,
wheelchair, wheelchair swing.
The bike was my thing.
It was your thing, yeah.
And it's
It's a
probably
step
less
further.
hot. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
poured
that
in
pour
place,
place.
they get hot.
I feel like they off gas too.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, and probably I'm
It's
getting
not- it doesn't smell it, it's
microplastics.
hot.
When it's really
You
hot
know.
out.
Well, and this is, if anyone is in a wheelchair or mobility impairments of some sort, concrete is just, it works,
Yes.
And poured in place, it really ages quickly in scenarios like this. So
What about shade in this scenario? Is there a spot where we can have poles where we can put in some sort of shade elements that could be put in at certain parts of the year and taken out?
Well, this actually has a lot of trees.
Yeah.
It's fairly shaded. This is a rendering, so they haven't captured a lot of that tree.
A tree canopy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see they've kind of graded them in, the trunks and the leaves and whatnot, but there's nothing in the background. So this is just a very limited rendering. But I would encourage you to, so this is right next to the restroom.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk over there sometime, just look at it. It's very, very.
Well, you can see from the overhead map, it looks like,
Right.
I didn't know if anything would be moved.
We don't have any, all the trees will remain, and we don't have any plans for any shade canopies at this time.
I've spent a lot of time and I drive by that spot every day. And what I imagine is by putting it here is you've got morning shade, because there's big trees in the east there. Depending on time of year, you might get some midday sun. This time of year, not very much. But nobody's going to go work out at 2 o'clock in July anyway.
No.
So that's not going to happen. But then you also get evening shade. So you get a shade in this location without having to put structures up. And we thought that made it a pretty cool
And these things
location.
being with that sealed component there, they don't get anywhere from the snow and.
Everything gets wear, but
I mean, to the.
But it is designed to be outdoors.
yeah.
Okay.
Looks like fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It will,
Yeah, it does.
maybe that'll be a field trip.
That's an easy one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Easy to get
I
to.
like your field trips.
I do like my field trip.
Work Area 3 is the public art that's south of the senior center. So this is the sculpture that's out there. And right now it's on a little mound, but there's not a lot else going on. And so what they've done is put together a concept that has been presented to the Arts and Public Places Board of different plantings that can go around and really feature this sculpture, but not detract from it and not hide it. So a lot of low growing perennials to be put around. Here it's calling out this columnar oak right here and putting some plantings around it. So it'll kind of capture this area as kind of an accent piece, and it'll really help bring that sculpture like to life. I don't see that sculpture all the time when I go by.
It's great. I'll
Yeah,
protect it
awesome.
too. So, some people's kids, definitely not mine. We'll run up there and sit on that.
Yeah,
And having a garden around it would be great to
yeah.
The trash
show
is
some
popular.
boundaries.
I mean, the Manilda sculpture
That one
just
is
gets
welcome
better.
to be set.
It just gets better and better
I
as
think
people sit on
she
it.
likes it though.
Yeah, she
This
does.
one might not as much. I don't know.
Okay.
So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, these were some of the plantings that they've decided on. So, yeah, as I mentioned, the project, it's going to start construction. I want to say it's the middle of November, like the second week. They'll start putting up the fencing and whatnot. And then it'll be into the first part of the year with the plantings, and then the first part of spring, and that's probably about when it will be coming to a close.
When is the fitness thing going to be done? I want to know.
With all of that. So I would say safely, spring of 26.
Okay.
Are the only group that I know that uses this space really regularly is the medieval folks. Are they informal? Are they paying any fees?
They're informal.
They're informal, so they just take a note and they can go to Thompson Park. Or go to
There's a
some
lot
other
of
art
room
first.
actually
Yeah.
there. I think they can continue to do what they've been doing.
Okay,
I
yeah,
see them
maybe, yeah.
out there every
Okay.
time they're out there.
They're pretty awesome. It's a pretty,
Oh, yeah.
it's a pretty cool organization. So.
I think they'll be fine.
Okay.
Any questions? I just want to say thank
Good
you
job.
for the inclusion and everything.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be really great.
Some limited mobility in my immediate family and my husband as well, so it's really nice to see it being considered so
Yeah.
wholeheartedly, so thank
And
you.
Just another piece for that group, again, instead of talking about having to sharpen their pencils, that group sharpens their pencils. We squeeze everything we can out. I think we do it in a way that respects our contractors. So they don't feel like they're getting squeezed out, but I think it's a very collaborative piece. It's definitely our group to try to get the most they can out of our budgets.
We're working on that. So
Sam, I think you had a question.
Just one question. That southwest corner of the park where it's located, the connection point from there across Longs and Bross both don't have any crosswalks. Would it be possible to get crosswalks painted as part of this?
we could ask the streets team.
Yeah, if they're already going to be spending what I assume is a lot of money cutting into the curb to build 2 parking spaces,
Well, that's our team,
it'd be awesome to get crosswalks there.
Yeah.
but we'll reach out
Yeah.
to
Just paint. I
transportation.
know they can't be official because
Mhm.
they always say can't be official crosswalks, but
Yep.
it's a very unsafe crossing on Longspeak there because it's the highest speed point between Kaufman and Longsby and Bowen.
Mm.
And so you're trying to cross there, like especially on parade days and things where there's cars parked on both sides. Like the access point for 2/3 of access to that park is very unsafe to get to it. And ideally formal crosswalks would be amazing with a sign. But again, they don't like to do that. So if we can get something painted that could be informal, that'd be great.
We will look into that.
That'd be awesome.
Great point.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I think the location of the choice location is great. Because it's like you said, shaded. It's already a fairly open space. No trees have to come down.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They will be replacing all the sidewalk around the playground in the same spot, just because it's not ADA compliant right now due to slope.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't have the budget to like change it like we did Thompson, so we're really leaving that intact. We're gonna take the sand, all the sand for this part. We're delivering a lot of sand anymore, so this one might go to Union. We're not sure yet, to help that beach. So.
Yeah, with ADA compliance, if you can remind them that a ramp that's ADA compliant to get to a street that's very unsafe is not any better than a ramp that's very unsafe. Like, you're still going out in the street into traffic at that point.
Yeah, when I said slope, it was the
Yeah.
cross slope of the sidewalk,
Okay.
not
They
the
did a
ramp
bunch
to
of
go
replacements
to.
around Thompson as part of the project where like we replaced all of the apron pieces, but not into crosswalks, and it's like very hard to navigate
I'll
that.
consult with our transportation team because they're the ones that do the crosswalks and those
Yeah,
ramped. I
appreciate it.
remember what they're called, but yes, the truncated domes. Yep.
Yeah, the fitness part was driven 15, 18 years ago by Michelle Waite. So at Cedar Center, she was the person who got this added to the list, and so even though she's moved on, retired, enjoying that life, getting this done, and we're going to try to take advantage of it within recreation with some programming there, try to do some group things, certainly utilizing the senior center too. We feel that's one of the reasons we felt like it's a really good location for it, because that's a group that we hope will use this equipment.
How does maintenance look like for those sort of things?
There will
Well,
be some.
They have there's maintenance that they require, but we're going to have our maintenance, Robert, who does all of our equipment at all of our facilities.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, I don't want the guys that do irrigation. I don't want Robert touching irrigation or our guys, and I don't want their guys touching the equipment. So that would be my thought on that, because he's very good, and so that's my expectation is we'll actually really have be able to take care of that stuff, because I know what that stuff looks like when it's not taken care of. I've seen it many times.
And are there like instructions for use? I assume there's like a placard for each one or
I
something
think
that
each one has it.
tells them.
I think there was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the one rendering you showed, so from at least the company from the other park, or not the rendering, sorry, the pictures you showed.
Yeah,
They had like a little
each one.
diagram of what you were supposed to do with it. So
Yeah, you brought your exercise guru from your team
Yeah,
to that tour.
Carla came.
She
Oh,
knows
yeah.
so much.
Yeah,
She can
she's-
do everything. And she just made us all look really bad.
there's always one. Okay, any other questions on Roosevelt?
No,
Okay.
I'm just excited.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we're on to the next.
One
oh,
question.
Okay.
Will any of that be posted to the website for the park project presentation there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, the presentation? Potentially, yeah. I
Okay.
just have to make sure it's compliant, like AD accessible. And so we have to run it through something like that.
It's got to be kind of hard for some of the renderings to get
Yeah.
that to be
Because
compliant.
they're, yeah.
You have to have like descriptions of what it's showing.
I'll ask communications that we can.
Yeah.
I think people are psyched about it, and like I get so excited seeing the actual renders and things, and
Uh-huh.
then it's not on the site. I can't show people.
Right.
Yeah, they
I
will
like
be
to
excited
see
to
that.
see that.
It might be that we can
It just,
distribute
it just says bid in progress fall 2024, which is not true. It's,
Right.
We're just past that. So I just try to get people excited about it. And, yeah.
We might be able to pass it along to you if we can't. Put it, if it can't be made accessible, yeah.
We put other like ancient PDFs on the website.
Not anymore.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay. So if
I'll ask
I
this
have a bit of a
question.
crackdown on that.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Please remind them they're just making it impossible to know anything about the city, and as actively making citizens unhappy about information when you talk to them.
Okay, with that, we're going to move into the next new business item of review of summer day camp.
Lauren, come on up. So, we wanted, as we've been showing you guys periodically, some things we're doing within recreation, and realized we hadn't brought our general programming, which tends to be a catch-all, but in this case includes day camp, which is a very important program to recreation and the community. And Laura McNeely is fairly new to us. How long has it been now?
Year and a half.
My goodness. A year and a half, and she's taken on our day camp in addition to what we call general programming. So that would be the basket weaving sort of thing. Anything that's not sports.
Underwater basket weaving.
But-
We have basket weaving, and it
We
is
do.
very successful when we offer it. So
Yeah, it's not offered now or at
Yeah.
a time that I can take it because I've been trying to.
it's
Our instructor for that is actually, she moved to Boston. She'll return in the summer and offer that again.
Okay.
getting instructors right now was a real challenge. I will comment on that. Yeah, it's post COVID. It has gotten harder and harder to get folks to do programs. It's just a different world, and it's frustrating. That being said, we want to talk about day camp because it is very successful. And that's it. Take it away, Laura.
How do we take this like bottom piece?
I think it will go.
I think your
Click
mouse.
SVC.
Move your.
It's on a TV. It'll go away, I think.
Oh.
Just
It will go
press the
after
center
a
button
bit.
on that one.
There you go.
I just want to make sure so we can see all the words. Hi everybody, I'm Lauren McNeely. I'm the general programmer for the recreation department. This is my, as we've talked about, I've been here for a year and a half, but 2026 will be my 10th summer in day camps. It is one of my passions. I love doing it, and I'm happy to do it here because we have a great program. But just getting into it, we're going to talk a little bit about the past, what we're doing now, and how we can look towards the future for day camp. So the Longmont Summer Day Camp has been around for a long time. The program was established in the early 90s, and when talking to everyone, talking to the historical people of the department, could not figure out what year it actually started. We'd have to do some digging, but it has been around for a long time. We have grown from serving 110 kids across the 10 weeks of summer to this past summer. We actually had over 300 different children in the program, which is great. The program over the years has evolved to include different themed weeks, such as Pirates of the Union Reservoir, Space Academy, Heroes Week, Spirit Week, Holiday Week. We have a lot of different things going on. We have new field trips that we've been doing. Each summer we offer age-specific enrichment activities so that whether you're 5 years old or you're 10 years old, you're getting different things out of camp so that they're not all doing the same thing. Over the years, the program has established itself as a cornerstone of the Longmont Recreation Department. While I was not here during COVID, I did work in camps during that time, and I know we all did a lot of very similar things. So during the pandemic, the camp remained open. We never closed down. We actually provided exclusive childcare for Longmont employees so that all workers who were essential could continue to support the community. And we adjusted our operations to work with smaller group sizes. We increased our safety measures, which we are a state licensed camp. So there are already a lot of safety measures that go into running camp outside of COVID. So those increased safety measures really ensured that the children were healthy, safe during the program. And we did a lot more stuff outside. So this program really became a model of community resilience and the department's commitment to serving families in uncertain times, which COVID was definitely a lot of uncertainty. Things were changing every day, every week, hour to hour, it felt like, especially when it came to youth programming.
Very few things were running that summer, but we did run the summer camp.
Yes. So what the Longmont Summer Day Camp offers. This is past summer.
Yeah.
The kids had a great time out at Sandstone.
It was just this past summer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I don't know those kids. I thought I did. Okay.
I know every summer I'm like, I feel like I start to get to know the kids, and then they're like, no, I'm so and so's sibling, and I'm like, dang it.
That's probably
You
what
guys
I
are
was
all
gonna-
aging.
Yeah.
That's my daughter in the background.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Hi. The Longmont Summer Day Camp is a full-day program for children's ages 5 to 10, and it's designed to support working families with affordable and enriching childcare. Just before COVID, we shifted to a daily enrollment model, meaning that you did not have to enroll Monday through Friday. You could enroll on just Tuesdays. You can enroll Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We priced at a daily, so this gave parents the flexibility to register for what they needed, which improved participation and accessibility. As the years have gone on and as we have progressed to post-COVID, we are now seeing families need more Monday through Friday care. With the dependability of being able to register for Monday through Friday. So this past summer, we actually introduced weekly enrollment back into the equation, and we offered 20 weekly enrollment spots. So just being flexible and doing those, like changing our enrollment, has resulted in additional revenue without limiting access to the program. So even as we adjust pricing, we still remain incredibly affordable. We actually are still, parents who enroll in the program throughout the summer save on average about $350 a month compared to more private alternatives for summer camps. So we think that's amazing, being able to stay affordable so that parents can rely on us each summer. We're committed to continually updating the program and improving. Our program has helped to boost revenue and community satisfaction. Can't talk about day camp without actually also talking about our Expedition Tween program. So our Expedition Tween program is a outdoor-based adventure program for our older youth who are 11 and 12 years old. This program focuses on off-site excursions, leadership development, and team-building experiences. This past year, we actually sold out all of our weeks with wait lists, which was great. Since the program was established 3 years ago, this was the first summer that we were able to do that, which is wonderful. And that just helps to emphasize the high satisfaction for that program. This program helps to fill a gap for our middle schoolers who are aging out of the regular day camp program. Also helps to keep families integrated with the programs that we're offering. If they continue to be in our programs, they'll hear more about what else we're offering. So looking towards the future, we are hoping to expand and open up a new program, a new camp. The proposed outdoor camp will be operating out of Kanemoto. We are hoping to, the camp would have 60 spaces for kids 6 to 11. This camp would focus on nature play as well as off-site field trips and outdoor exploration. To get this camp off the ground, we have proposed a budget of $70,000 with the purchase of a 15-passenger van. The 15-passenger van would be really important for transportation to our off-site field trips that we'd be hoping to do. This expansion helps to also provide more full-day affordable summer childcare and helps meet the demand for summer programming. The last 2 years, we have actually sold out in less than a day for our summer program. In 2024, summer camp was full by 4 p.m. on the day of registration. In 2025, we were full by noon. And our registration opens at midnight. So a lot of parents know that if they want to get into the program, they need to wait at midnight to register. We are hoping to change that to a more accessible time this coming summer so that parents don't have to be up so early. But it just goes to show that there is definitely a need for this program, and that opening up a new camp will help those parents who are either unsuccessful at getting in or just determine later on that they need more childcare. And hopefully we will have space in all of our programs.
I'll just add that it is in the current budget, and we are to the point of approving the budget. So while it is not a done deal, it's getting towards the end, and that has been included in the next year's budget.
I haven't heard anything negative that it's not going to be.
Harold's been a big supporter of that from the beginning of
I think he
expanding
sees
that.
the big picture. I think council does too.
Yeah, trying to get more service out there, and it does well for recreation too. So
Yes. So continued investment in these programs is going to be really key. They provide support for families that are working full time that need affordable childcare. It helps to support the local economy by helping parents remain in the workforce and not have to stay home for childcare. Our camps fill quickly every year, which demonstrates our demand. So continued investment ensures future growth and community impact. Do you guys have
I add to that we also employ a bunch of young people. These aren't the youngest ones because you have to have a certain number of hours working with kids, but a lot of college kids and young people that are interested in being in the field working with kids. So a lot of people who want to be teachers will come through and get a lot of experience that they need, or some of them decide they don't want to be teachers.
I think
Very important.
I think they need like some 70 hours or so.
It's actually 400 hours to work.
480 hours of
to work.
verifiable childcare experience.
Yeah.
Before working there?
Before working there.
That's a state licensing or something?
Yes.
How do you get that experience?
Yeah,
in summer camps?
babysitting.
Your general-
That
You can be
experience.
babysitting.
Level we so we have
Teaching
level
swim
1,
lessons.
2, and 3. Level
Yeah,
1 and 2
they're
can be
various
hired
levels.
without experience. Level 3 is
Okay.
what the state
So yeah.
requires that they start having that experience, because we cannot have a group alone by themselves without a level 3. A level 3 can be entrusted to be by themselves with kids, even though we never have any situations in which they are alone. But that you get experience as a 1 and 2,
Okay.
and then that's
Good.
what you can
So
do
like
the
one
rest of it.
summer of work would be enough to be a level 3?
A 1.5,
1.5.
essentially. So, like, if you come on as a 1, the next summer we can hire you on as a 2, and then hopefully by your, mid-summer of your second year, we can either promote you, or when you return the following summer, we can hire you on as a 3.
What's the minimum age for the level 1? Like you hire 14-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds?
16.
16.
You have to be 18 years old to be a level 3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have to be 21 to be a director or assistant director.
16.
And we've been blessed with amazing directors.
Yes. Yeah. We had a wonderful director team this past summer, which was amazing.
So it's great to see the program grow. From the 100 to 300, then the 300 to 360. Is the market infinite? Is that really what I'm hearing? That if it takes a day to register everybody,
Theoretically.
that we're looking at probably need is
Where we're
thousands,
limited
probably.
is, hiring people it can be a challenge for that much, but
Yeah.
Vehicles, because we have to be able to
Because then
kids
all-
are- otherwise it's
move,
not
yeah.
it's not worth it to people to sign up when we don't have enough to do, and so we had to have this one vehicle to be able to operate this new program. Really, 2 vehicles would be better, and that's one of the main factors, and obviously very expensive to get that going. But we're going to see how we do with this one. If we're vastly successful, then in my mind, we take another step. So
Right.
Lauren needs to be ready. We haven't talked about that, but she knows I always want more.
Yeah, really like across the board in all cities, you are seeing these programs sell out in record time. We are all struggling to find the space, find the employees, find find what we can to do to give to get to the community, to get as many kids into our programs as we can. A lot of it is licensing. There's so many requirements for us from licensing. We have our health inspection, we get fire inspections. Licensing comes out and does their audit every year to make sure that we're in compliance with everything. Even prior to the start of camp, all of the staff, regardless of their level, go through 45 hours of online training on emergency training, how to work with kids, and then we do an additional 20 hours of training in person prior to the start of camp. So we have around 60 hours of training that we need to do to get the staff prepared for the summer. And there's just a lot that goes into prepping for the summer and what is required of us. So just being able to have the resources to have the staff to run the programs, like it's hard in and of itself, but all the communities across where we are now, they're trying really hard, and we're all just seeing that demand is just going up and up and up, especially with childcare being as expensive as it is.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking about Kanemoto Park. Is that going to, are they going to be basically using one of the shade shelters for as their home base? What's the home base going to be? Because there's just 2 pavilions there.
Yes.
They're usually full all summer.
Yes. That is going to be one of the, harder parts of moving the camp there, is that we will be using both of the shelters throughout the summer. But we plan on having 30 kids at each shelter. That'll be their home base for the summer. But the great things about Kanemoto are the activity pool. They have 2 baseball fields that the kids can do activities on. There's plenty of shade for them. There's some really nice playgrounds, which we're also very happy about the Roosevelt playground upgrade, because Day Camp will be over there using that when it becomes available. There are a lot of amenities.
Center too.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, at Kanemoto, they'll be able to walk to Left Hand Creek Park. They can walk over to the rec center and use those amenities, which we've already talked to the pool managers over there about having them swim a couple times, once a week, and then they'll be able to use the activity pool. It's just a really good site for us to work out of. That is also one of the limiting factors for us, is space and being able to license a specific space for the program.
Now there's the outdoor school licensing procedures, and that probably opens things up a little bit.
Yeah.
But a suggestion is maybe to communicate with Burlington's extended day programs. Because they have a summer camp as well running out of Burlington, which is, I think Burlington actually is the baseball diamonds, or I think Burlington, because when we were
the lines in the field.
Yeah, the lines in the field. So they're kind of the kids are gonna come across each other, and so it might be good for people to communicate, I would imagine.
Yep. There's still a lot of planning going on. We're just in the very initial phases of determining location and then communicating with all of our different parties. We still need to talk with the rec center, talk with athletics, all sorts of things. So we're just in the initial phases, but we are hoping that this new program, will open up a lot of opportunities for families to join the program when they haven't been able to.
We don't want to go so far until we are pretty darn confident the budget's going to be approved. So.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or?
Yeah. First off, it's just an absolutely A+ program. I've had 2 years now of using it, and every part of the program is perfect in my opinion. The extended hours are really important. They open those hours. A lot of parks close at 3:30. Camps close at 3:30 or 4. And if people have working jobs that can't be done by that time, it's just not an option. Mm-hmm. It is very affordable, and the quality is really high, so I just really appreciate everything you guys have done with the camp.
Yeah, thank you.
My only compliment is going to be when you think about the sign up time, for some people it might be harder to have it during the day, even though it sounds like it's easier. There are people who are working and not able to get to computers. So for like equitable access to sign up, there are other options I'm sure you're considering for that as well.
Yeah, we are. So with sign up, we're hoping just to move it to 7. 7 o'clock would hopefully be before people, start their work day. And then 7 o'clock is also a benefit for us because that's when we start staffing the memorial building, and we direct all calls for the program to the memorial building. So if you called the rec center, they'd say, oh, let me transfer you to the memorial building. So it's important for us to have staff on site to be able to answer any and all questions that parents may have if they're having issues with registration. Or people do have the option to walk in. You can still do it online, but when it was at midnight, if anything went wrong, staff weren't on site to answer questions or fix anything. So just being able to move it to a more accessible time for the public to be able to reach out to us, that's like our goal and the purpose behind moving it then. But yeah, we're looking into multiple different ways for people to be able to register.
I'm sorry, just for me, to your point about people being home, work, computer, you can do it on a mobile laptop. I mean, it's easy enough to grab your phone.
I wouldn't want to use the RecTrack website on my phone.
That's
personally, but
it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the easiest process, but if you're as motivated as I am to have answers for the summer,
right,
you make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right. We're on to board candidate interview committee.
Yeah, so I think we have.
I don't know.
We have. I
Jeff and I haven't
believe
talked.
is it two spots? I believe open. Thomas is not going to return. And do we have somebody? Who from here is anybody termed?
Am I done? I think I may be done.
Are you termed?
I don't know. I have to check.
Yeah.
I knew about
Jeff-
Thomas, but I
yeah.
believe there are two
Jeff-
spots.
Okay.
So basically, we need a couple people to.
Just me, right? Yeah.
You're out of here.
Wow.
Wow.
Go back and bother transportation.
So once we're rid of Scott, and he's not eligible for this, we need a couple people because we'll do interviews with the candidates, assuming we have more than 2. So we want to try to get a time together. So who's interested is really what it comes down to.
I like interviewing. It's fun. Let's do it.
It's
I
really
like your
cool. It's a really cool-
enthusiasm. Yeah.
It's a really
I
cool
like-
process.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to meet people and hear why they like
Why they're
parks
yeah
and
yeah
recreation.
yeah. I
Great.
totally agree.
Depends on when would those interviews be? What month?
It's let's see. I think they'll be November, so about middle of November.
Okay.
So, and we try to arrange a time for everybody. So usually it's late afternoon, and it'll be online. So we'll meet on Zoom.
Was it one of the potential candidates, this lady here, or do we know?
I don't know.
She didn't tell. She didn't say.
There was somebody who came by like 6 months ago and spoke
I
about
remember,
about Flanders Park.
yeah.
She was interested.
Oh, yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll apply. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you need
We like to get 2 people.
2.
So is there anybody else?
Randy,
I
Aaron?
could interview. Yeah,
Okay.
in November I could,
Okay.
not October.
It'll definitely be November.
Okay.
I don't remember when it closed, but
Interviews in December.
yeah.
Cool.
And then we get those done.
Yeah.
We turn in the recommendation, and then those guys will see it that first meeting or so, and then do the interviews on a Saturday morning.
Mhm.
Is there any, because I'd like to get the word out to people, but I don't want to sit and text with my arthritic thumbs and tell them all about this, but is there a cut and paste thing that I can send? Because I'd
Well, we
really
should
like
be
to
able to get
outreach.
it. There should be a link. There should be a spot where that information's out. I'll get it to you guys. So that's something
Okay.
we should be able to send.
I don't know that anything the city promotes. I think it's just usually like get engaged, be part of a board. It's not like specific to parks.
But I'll get something.
If there is something specific to parks, it
Yeah,
would
just-
it'd be good. I'd like to, especially, I don't know, I'd like to do some outreach to people that aren't necessarily represented in this room.
Yep,
Not
I'll
that we're
get
not
something
all
out to you guys.
awesome, but
When will it actually open?
Ooh, I don't remember. It's pretty quick.
It is.
I think.
I feel like it's always like I hear about it and it's closing.
Yeah.
No, it's coming up here right away,
Okay.
and it lasts about a month.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Right now, it just lists uncertain.
yeah.
To be confirmed. Status
Okay.
upcoming.
It'll be very soon.
Yeah, cool.
I will send you guys out info so we have more specific on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't have a deep discussion with Jeff on it.
I know.
Okay, let us know if you need
So-
backup from anyone else, and thank you to both of you for offering
Aaron
to
and Brady.
be on the interview.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay, great. That's the end of new business. Any discussion on items from packet updates? I didn't either. No? All right, with that, move into items from staff. Anything from staff?
I'll mention that 4th of July we're working on for next year with some new plans. Kiwanis is not going to support fireworks next year, so we are going to be coming up with something different. I don't mean different doing, but a different version of what we've done, and different ways of funding, all sorts of ideas. So working on that right now.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Anything else from staff? Okay. Any items from the board?
I have one thing. I think the transportation committee meets at the same time tonight, and they're talking, I think, about e-motorcycles and all the challenges around that tonight. I think that's also of relevance to the greenways, probably. And
We've
so
been
I think
talking. We're a part of that team, so the
I'd be interested
Rangers.
in a future
myself-
discussion on
Yeah,
that.
it'd be
or
great.
just an update. Yeah.
I just sent a bunch. We had 2 local communities, Commerce City and Berthoud, and one other local one just made new rules and regs. So it's
I saw Commerce City, Aurora does.
Aurora. It's
City of
Aurora.
Boulder just
Yeah.
created a mile per hour limit too.
And that's one of the things we're kind of debating on. Would you have that? Then do you have rangers with radar guns? And how do you know?
How do road cyclists feel about that?
Like you can't go more than 15 miles an hour anyway because you're gonna.
They do.
I know.
Oh, yeah, they do.
But
I
I'm
mean,
saying
they,
like
I
that's
ride an
a-
e-bike. They go flying past. me.
Yeah, it's.
Exactly.
I mean,
I ride it
that's
about
still
12
a
to
reasonable
14
amount.
miles an
But the bigger issue is I don't propose creating a speed limit that you can't enforce. Right. So that
That's
just
been
seems
my
to be.
point.
So I think that the idea of saying that this is like a orange or yellow or red zone sort of thing is more important. Is to stress like usability. If you're riding at 6 a.m. and no one's there, no one's there, and it's a lot different than if you're doing it middle of the day on Saturday.
You
Right?
may be in
So-
that group. I also talk about the fact that we get people complaining about e-bikes, but I know people that ride road bikes that are riding faster than they should be riding too. But again, if you're commuting to Boulder and there's no one on the trail, I don't know that that's a problem. We've talked about the idea of like ski resorts. We have kind of merging areas and stuff and trying to give people warnings and educational pieces.
Yeah, I think all that makes sense, and not to get all the way through the discussion right now. I think what people I've talked to have asked for is just more info from the city on we're thinking about it. Here's the status of how it works.
And that's
We
going to
don't,
throw
we
out
don't
there
have speed
too.
limits. Just to say how it currently is a starting point.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
thrown out,
challenging
council's
topic.
thrown out,
Yeah.
but we were already working on that. And it's again, there's certain things that we're seeing on the greenways right now too. It's hard to explain to people too that level 1 and level 2 e-bikes are not considered electric motorized vehicles under the state statute.
Right.
So then you get to see someone sees someone riding an e-bike, which seems okay. Now they're riding an electric motorcycle, and then they're riding a gas motorcycle, and then they're riding the one-wheeled electric vehicles, and it's getting really hard to start to manage
It's
that.
really coming down to is that how they're riding it, not the speed or anything like that. It's the how they're riding it, where they're riding a wheelie down there, or when it gets to an intersection, they're flying through it without dismounting like you're supposed to, and that sort of thing. And it's causing an issue where somebody is turning right and not seeing this thing that's coming here at 20 miles an hour that wasn't there a second ago when they looked. And so that's the part that's getting there. You've got a lot of people that are not have not gone through driver's safety that is at issue here. I don't think it's there is the issue of speed, but I think there's also the issue of just kind of being.
Yeah, we're watching, like you say, they're on the greenway, they're on the sidewalk, they jump off the sidewalk into the street and then back into a driveway on that sidewalk. So it's
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah, that's-
true with all the Greenway users, and I don't think it's necessarily this. I think a lot of it. I think there needs to be, and I thought for a while. I don't know that we have the money or how to get it out there, but like safety classes. I mean, there'll be people just ride faster than their ability on all sorts of things, and whether I see a lot of older people that can't stop. If I trip and fall, they can't stop, and they're so freaked out. You know, if I would trip and fall, they're just so freaked out because they're riding too fast for their reaction time, and they haven't ever done a cone course, which might be really great to offer people.
We have talked about that as well.
Safety. Yeah.
The level of injuries that we're seeing in high school, you're probably seeing it too. Just every time you turn around, somebody's saying, "Oh, what happened to you?" "Oh, I was on my e-bike." It's like, sure you were, of course you were. And they just don't recognize that there's light poles and stop sign poles, and somebody's doing some sort of thing like we're doing at the senior center with that. They'll kind of cordon off that area there, but the cordon off area is close to the edge of the sidewalk. I mean, it's just all these things on and on and on and on and on. And so we're hearing about this at the high school level all the time. And so Scott, you better get on that transportation. That's all I can say.
And it's. I mean, one of the tough things too is like something that's an unpaved trail, like Lobo Trail. All the curves are bigger curves, like think of like a road, and then you get onto the greenway, like say at left hand at the end of Lobo, and the radius is much tighter, and now you have walkers, and that's where, and people with dogs, and it's like chaos. Saturdays, we get probably 20 emails of people like, or Facebook messages or whatever, just like this, it's like it's crazy, and it's always seems to be these
high congestion areas or something. That's what we're
congestion areas.
focused on.
People trying to take the hairpin turns to get from the road into the greenway. And someone's cutting across grass to do it, whatever. It's just, it's like, I think a lot of courtesy talk.
And we're talking about actually doing on the site. Some areas having staff out there and doing, maybe combine it with the bike to work today, where you have some of those educational stops that help people understand how important that is.
And maybe some education at the senior center, and maybe some integrative education between teens and seniors would be fun. I'm that frequent user of, that whole thing, Scott, and I don't actually see e-bikes as a problem during those high congestion things. The e-bikes are more exciting at about 3 p.m. is when they're super exciting. But though I appreciate the mobility that it gives people that don't have that mobility and the access. So I don't want to limit it to a broken arm is a broken arm. We just don't want people to die. Like, broken arms are fine.
Yeah, it just, people should be comfortable before getting out on them.
Yeah.
Especially on pavement, and going 15 to 20 miles an hour.
I think
because a lot of people don't know how fast that is.
It'd be kind of fun to do courses in the school parking lot. Like, I don't know. It sounds like a good. It'd be fun.
I have a quick question for all of you.
8:30, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I started being all like space.
So I need your advice, because tomorrow evening we've had this thing come up as general business for council to look at, and it's a citizens-initiated code amendment referring to prairie dogs. And, my feeling is in this, here we are, we're not funding level 2 projects. We've got a lot of people that are, becoming more food insecure and other things like that. And this is one of these issues where we were dealing with the over here with the prairie dog folks that wanted to leave our park that had been fully planned and everything, and leaving a whole prairie dog area. And I don't, I'm trying to figure out, is this something that really is priority and something we should spend a lot of time on?
What's the code?
I'd like to,
That's-
yeah, I'd like
yeah.
to see it. Can you
So-
put it up there?
I
Because
could. Yeah. I think I got it here. Yes. I think is that the right one? No?
it's right here is your HDMI, I think.
Okay, sorry. No, that's not it.
I think it looked like this to you. I think you just gave it up.
I just didn't show it hard enough. There we go. Yeah. I mean, this is just basic. And I can just show you. Do I need to-
It'll take a second. There you go.
All right, so coming down here.
Okay,
This
hold on.
is-
Like even just seeing
This
that
is the
first word.
executive summary, and I think they want us to my understanding is they'd like us to add in this when they're doing developments in areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's all, this is really tough, folks. I mean, I've been dealing with this since I was on council the first time, and worrying about prairie dogs, and we know that we have a limited number of places we can send them. Not every place is willing to take them, and then to do this when we have people that are, you know, not that I'm going to as a council member, approve every development that comes down the pike. But I do want to make sure that I prioritize people when they're trying to find
Can we see?
housing, and I can move further down.
So I'll make a comment. I don't know
Yeah,
if this is
good.
appropriate
Yeah.
or not,
I'm
but
just-
I actually, when I moved here from Wisconsin, I moved here to do the prairie dog regulation and permitting for the city as part of my job. Zach Blazik,
Wow.
who's now is the environmental sustainability planner, took over for me when I moved to LPC. I've been away from the prairie dog thing for about 3.5 years, so I think it's fairly appropriate for me to speak on it because it's not a conflict with my current job. I haven't looked at this in intense detail. I do know there's a small group of very vocal prairie dog advocates here in the city. I know that planning has offered them, they've been back and forth with planning a few times to talk about whether they code amendments or not. Planning essentially told them they could go to council and ask for you guys to direct them, or that they could do a citizen proposed amendment and pay to do it. They chose to do that. That's part of every zoning code, right? Is that citizens can propose amendments. I believe, without reading this in detail, that staff is supporting some of their recommendations and some not supporting some of their recommendations. My inclination in general as a commissioner of any sort would be to go with staff's recommendations.
Well, that's what I often do, just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they've spent the time
Yeah.
and everything.
So-
So, boy, I sure could, if you have
Yeah,
a different
I'd like to
view-
see the nine modifications.
Yeah,
there.
what-
Like, I'd like to see that.
It's in the.
It's in,
That-
there's a red,
it's in the docket.
there's a red
If you
line
go to the
doc.
agenda portal for the city, they have a
They should have a red line document as an attachment.
there's a
This
business
is the
card with
council
all the
Okay.
requested updates too. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
here.
a lot there.
Right
More than
there.
we cover.
This one.
Yeah.
If you go to that, nope, at materials, that one, there should be a red line ordinance.
I
should probably have read
just
this
sure
first
could
before.
use your opinion on this, because, you know, that's not coming up very fast. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you want me going, I can go a little slower,
You can go a little bit.
or? I'm gonna be fast.
Yeah. I mean,
And I don't need an exact, I'm just trying to get your feeling on this. Is this, you know, because I normally would take kind of the city's, recommendation on this, but I also don't want to, in a time when people are food insecure, job insecure, housing insecure, I just want to make sure that this is the priority of the community.
I reject that
You
thought
know,
process. Saving habitat
Mhm.
does not cause
I know it's not-
food insecurity.
No. I'm saying that
you
these are
know,
the
but-
priorities of council that we're trying to deal.
Well,
not that this takes away.
As
That is not
council
the way.
who pledged to be,
Yeah.
I'll be like, a pledge to, you pledge to be stewards of the land, basically, and the people, and the whole thing. If we're gonna walk our talk with our sister cities, with the Northern Arapaho, unfortunately, like, you've got the pesky mice, or like, to a lot of people these are pests, but it is under your purview. Like, you have habitat loss is the major cause of
No, I
extinction.
get it, but
And it's under, and you have power.
okay, but I want to say that there's already places that we're planning on developing here in town that are already cited for development. So they've already been viewed for how much
Yeah.
habitat loss there would be and things like that. So I don't know that that's the critical component. If it would be something else, I would never propose to go. I mean, I'm not a supporter at all of this Kanemoto easement, changing the easement
Yeah.
there or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if or moving our, and I was fully in support of your guys' decision on in regards to Tull and Distal. I think you guys made a great choice there and a decision there. This is just trying to make sure that, you know, where the city is in regards to some of these other.
These
It doesn't take
these
away
relook
from
like the
anything else.
permits generally only apply, actually not just generally, but they only apply to developable land. So this is and there's some that the city
The city does also
maintains
have
for
maintains.
parks because those are considered urban development because they're developed parks
Yeah.
and meant for
Yeah.
public. So it's not it's not designated open space that these folks are coming to. It's the corner of
Right.
Pace and 66 was the biggest relocation the city's seen. Next to Walmart on Ken Pratt was a very large relocation where they went through a major prairie dog permitting process and relocated as many prairie dogs as they could before they were able to develop the site.
Mm-hmm.
So the position that the prairie dogs are being removed from like prime habitat space is usually a misguided understanding because the areas that they're being removed from where these permits are being sought from are areas that don't have adequate foraging for them. They're surrounded by two-sided streets. It's not prime habitat. So there's a lot
No,
of
but it
ecologists
is-
agree that they're essentially maybe not intended to be there in the end of the
Well, I just wanted your advice.
Yeah, I've made maybe 3 points. One, I think it's important to always discuss habitat preservation in context of all the investments the city does make in open space outside these areas.
Fair.
City spends tremendous tax funds and time and energy to protect habitat of all kinds in many places, first of all. Second of all, I think it is unfair to say this is an issue that has broad public support when there are several people who bring it up all the time and spend all the time on it. So the question of how broad the support is a fair question.
Mm-hmm.
Of a
Yeah,
priority.
that's a really fair question.
I think it's not unlike with the Distal Tull discussion about eagles or bird wild. There's always wildlife people are very motivated to talk about it, and I don't think it's easy to assess how broad public support is for the topics when they're very involved. Just that's important. And then third, that the recommendations they're making, I just did a quick read through, seem pretty pragmatic to me. I think it's important to think about what are the actual impacts on a process that these have. They seem to raise a couple issues. One, that it's too easy to work around the process, like waiting until the relo sites are closed to apply and then saying, oh, there's nowhere open.
Right.
Two, that it should be more expensive, which seems reasonable. These are marginal costs on large developments. And then the third one being just that the process has some gaps in it overall. And I think if they're genuinely interested in working within the process to better capture the funds from that process and then use that to invest in habitat preservation, that's great.
Well, I
They
think
seem very
over
reasonable to
time,
me.
I've
Yeah.
always appreciated all your points of view, and I just want to make sure that if we're going to proceed down this pathway, that I'm hearing your point of view. I mean, what a better group to tell me about it. I know Aaron's passionate about this, and that's why I love this group, and I want to hear that where you guys are coming from with this, because I mean, as this is why we're supposed to be on these boards and commissions and stuff like that, to hear because you're the kind of the pipeline of where folks are coming with this. But I'm going to get people to my point where I was saying, I'm going to get people tomorrow night and saying, is that your priority? And I needed to hear what you had to say.
It takes no money away from the city. Like, it takes a little bit of time. You're not paid to deliberate, for your, and so it doesn't really take away to consider what these people are saying from anything. And I saw that there was a prairie dog fight in my neighborhood, and there was
like an unsanctioned boxing match.
yeah, it was, and there was a scrawled on this sign is like something about like, why aren't you worried about homeless people? And it's like the people that are worried about.
So now you see where I'm coming from. This is where I mean, to be beat around the head and shoulders over some sort of thing like this, where you're like going, it's a false choice to not see that the environment has a huge impact on the quality of our lives. But I just don't want to, if I can say that, when I have talked to you guys and you've given me good input, that this is has no downside as long as we're following kind of what the staff's recommendation was, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I just don't need to go in there without having talked to the people that I know would give me great advice on something like this.
And I do think though that people saying it's very small that are hugely vocal, but it is not a very small group of people that are worried about habitat and about prairie dogs and that love prairie dogs, because that prairie dog fight in the neighborhood was all the houses
against
two.
A place for them to go, where
yeah,
appropriate
so
place.
but there's a lot of or stay where they are, because there's a lot of places where they really can stay where they are, like they really can. There's really no downside. Oh, so there's some chewed grass, So it's not, like that. I don't know. There are a lot more people that are passionate about this that don't actually come to these meetings. So if you talk to your high school, which is a group that doesn't get underrepresented.
We have a whole process at my school right now, being a bunch of prairie dogs being removed. So, I
bet there's a lot of people that are really, really concerned about it.
They're trapping them and everything. But I just need to hear some of your thoughts on this. I don't want to belabor this, and if you have something that comes up, before tomorrow's meeting at 7, I check my email while I'm going through that. I'd look, if I saw, Sam emailed me something, I would be like, oh, let's see what's say on that.
If we get time to read it and see, there is a big red flag with what they're asking, then we should email you.
I'll check it, and I'd be able to argue that case to the council, or at least say that to them. So that's what I'm asking of you guys.
I think we got a lot of people coming to public meetings, as you know too well, that are coming in with a perspective without having done a lot of legwork on the background.
Yeah.
I think somebody coming in who's really engaged with the process, looked at the laws and the process, and is suggesting realistic improvements to it is something to celebrate.
That's good.
And it seems like that's what's happening, is a very reasonable set of requests. Not saying we need a moratorium on prairie dog relocation or something like that, right? Which you could easily imagine happening. That could be the discussion. That's not what's happening. Yeah.
I would just, say cautiously that my experience when I first came here was that citizens had written the first form of the prairie dog ordinance. It didn't fully make sense. It was very hard to enforce, and there's some weird issues with it. So somebody who's very experienced in zoning code stuff, I was like, well, this wasn't necessarily written by a planner, was it? So now that it's being opened back up, it is your responsibility as council, probably constitutionally, to consider this because it's part of the planning land use process, and it is important to a lot of folks. I would just err a little bit on the side of caution that these folks are very passionate. They make some pretty strong recommendations, and there were some issues with the first round of it. So kind of looking at balancing what staff might be recommending against what they're recommending for practicality purposes.
Well, I think I'd hope that you guys would feel the same way, that you could come to me and tell me, hey Sean, what the heck are you thinking, or did you see this, or if I missed something, because I really do want to represent what we're discussing and what our priorities here are in a broad sense.
Thank you for bringing it to us.
Cool.
Plugging my. All right, sorry, that's all I got.
No, I'm glad that you brought it up.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was. I knew it was coming up. I did not know it was tomorrow. So that is good
Yeah, it's
information.
general business, so it's not gonna be.
It's gonna be at the
It's
end.
not gonna be a first reading, second reading, or anything like that. It's just gonna be a discussion about what to do.
Be interesting conversation, I am sure.
Yes, probably.
Okay, that was items from board. Anything else? No.
I
Scott?
have one.
Yeah, of course.
The tall slide at Thompson Park, I think is still locked.
I just asked about this. I have an update. You guys have this too.
Yeah.
We just heard that. And the slide is here.
The slide is here.
It needs to be installed.
Okay, so it kind of circles back to the QR code story, because for the parents that somehow, like I walk the dog in Thompson Park all the time, so they kind of was like, hey, do you know what's going on? And I was like, well, I'll find out.
You are
blah,
a
blah.
6-year Parks and Rec board.
Yeah, so I'm
You're
just a
never
nosy
missing
person
events.
in Thompson Park.
Yeah.
Whole like closure.
Is to I was like, well, there is Service Works, and you can always put a request in there. And they're like, well, why isn't there a QR code for that? Or why can't I get a status like on this message board in front of the bathroom they just put in?
I know.
Just have
It's
a
so easy
place
to do
that
anymore.
goes to the park that has things. So it kind of circles back on this communication piece of if there is like broken equipment, or that you want them to be able to let them know that there is some sort of issue in a park, it'd be a great
This is
tool
something
to-
we've been. Go ahead.
No, you're doing it with
Yeah.
Chris. With like it's like closing a
Yeah.
trail. There's a new layer that's going to be added, and it's about what's closed in a park
Oh,
Yeah, we want to make sure.
on the same map. So it's
Yeah.
one map that'll show all the things.
So yeah, QR codes are great, but also if there's a map, you can go into a park, you should be able to click on it and see the restrooms are closed because of vandalism, the slide is broken because of vandalism, the skate park is closed because of vandalism.
Yeah, assume vandalism.
Exactly.
Really.
So yeah, we're really trying to help people make good decisions on where they're going, what kind of amenities are there, what's closed. And we like to also, some things we just don't have a time frame on because the parts aren't available. So I'd like to say closed indefinitely, or if we do have something out there that we know we
Insurance,
could
police
say
reports,
this
it's
is going to be closed.
Everything that had to occur in order to purchase that slide again is why it took so long.
Oh yeah.
So
there
for
is-
me, it really is. So
totally.
people are making plans. They plan to go to a park because of the slide, because of the shelter. If those are closed, we'd rather them, not have to be trying to figure out their birthday party plans and just go someplace else, knowing that it's most likely not going to be open.
It is kind of a good Halloween look, all the chains over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
there is.
And
The slide.
I mean,
Yeah,
is there not just a piece of paper that says, like, it's closed due to, or slides
On
on
the
the
fire,
border?
which they
I
could
would
light
think that'd be
again.
easy.
Yeah, I mean,
at the top of the slide. No.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
but I mean,
Papers
like an old-fashioned sign, like printed out and taped on something, ain't so bad. And
Yeah.
it's pretty low
I-
cost.
Yeah,
was gonna-
yeah.
I was gonna
Instead of
print it.
trying to find a
It'll
map
last
online.
It will last a day.
I would have done it, but they would take it down probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they'll
it's
they'll
not
probably
officially
they'll
approved.
probably
I know, that's what I mean.
say that
that's
we're
the thing.
vandalizing.
It's
the
like-
Yeah,
sign.
vandalism.
Yeah, because like that kind of thing shouldn't be a problem if you just say, hey, it's gonna,
We harp on it. It's small stuff, but it's what I think. At these meetings, we always, or in communication with your staff who are incredible, there's always a very good reason for everything, but you always have to ask for it.
Yep.
That's the reality of it. Is like, great, there was an insurance challenge with the warranty, had an issue, like totally explicable, but no one knows unless they ask.
Right.
And everyone assumes nothing's being done because there's no communication. So it is hard. Hopefully, it's
Right.
clear that all we're saying is like a small bit of info, just saying we're on it, is enough.
Right. And that's for me, it's a piece for the users that they don't have to make a phone call or come to
Yeah.
a crowd meeting, but also for our call centers and for our staff, they do not have to repeat the same message. The more we can
Exactly.
get information out there, the better.
Exactly.
maybe something that doesn't say resolved. We're on it is great,
Yeah.
but don't say resolved, please.
This is a whole
It's
nother.
a
Don't
service
put it
work
on the
for
She knows
nightmare.
I
she
know
knows
what
my,
you're talking
my pet
about.
peeve with this too.
Yeah, this
And
is
we're
something
working
that
on
comes up
it.
a lot.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not a big change. Once again, those pixels, they don't charge by the pixel. You could just say, you know,
It's the system that
you've
goes
been
into
heard,
the automatically generates a response.
Yeah.
So yes.
received, or you've been
Received.
heard, or
Right.
something. You
We
know,
hear ya.
Yeah.
yeah.
It goes a long way. I mean, we like that from people in our lives,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, we heard you were working on
But
that. We
that's
got that.
system,
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, I think
that's your
streets
part of
is
this.
automatically, a work order has been processed.
Right.
For your, and it doesn't matter if they actually have put together a work order, that's the automatic response.
No, I get
So
what you're
wait
saying.
3 weeks later,
Parks and
nothing has
Recreation.
changed.
Yeah.
So
Like,
when
oh,
does
it's-
the trail status map get updated for park and trail status map?
I do not know.
Okay.
I'm going
Because that's where on every park page you'll see maps and plans, and you click in this trail status map, it'll be parks and trail status map.
That's great.
Time frame TBD, because it's not my project. It was someone in GIS, I think, working on that.
Okay. Great. Any other items? No? Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Nice.
great. This is
Okay.
really exciting. Thank you. Can I get a motion to
Move
adjourn? Second? Second? All right, we're adjourned.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Is that sign